Hi, I'm Hannah with the Midland County Public Libraries, here with some suggestions on what to read next if you liked Percy Jackson. My first series is the Cryptid Chronicles by Anne Ursu. So this series follows a 13-year-old girl, Charlotte. She's super cranky, fabulous. So her cousin Z actually moves in with her family. He's from England and he's like a cool, popular guy. So that makes Charlotte even more cranky. And then weird stuff starts happening. And it starts to seem like maybe all of the Greek myths they've been learning about in school are not just stories, and they're real. So she and Z have to overcome their differences and work together, go on a quest to save the world. My next recommendation is Sal and Gabi Break the Universe. So this book, I've only read one chapter. It starts out with a very Percy Jackson reminiscent scene where the main character, Sal, is dealing with the bully. Hilarious. Just based on that chapter, I recommend this book. But it turns out Sal, the main character, is a magician, like a real magician. And he does, you know, some fun conjuring things. It turns out his power comes at a pretty high price. After all, the book is called Sal and Gabi Break the Universe for a reason. Next we've got Arusha and the End of Time. So Arusha, her mom curates the Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture. She ends up telling the kids at school about this cursed lamp at the museum to try to get them to like her. And when they dare her to prove that it's cursed, everything goes terribly wrong. So it turns out when she lights the lamp, it releases a demon whose job it is to awaken the god of destruction. So then of course she has to go on a quest to find the heroes and save the world. The next series is the Blackwell Chronicles. So this series starts with Loki's wolves. Matt is the main character in this series, and he lives in a town, Blackwell, where like everybody is descended from Thor and Loki. And so he ends up getting chosen to be Thor's representative. And of course this happens right as Ragnarok stuff starts going down. So he and the other champions have to team up and try to find Thor's hammer and his shield. And they have to, because they're representatives, they have to fight on behalf of the gods to save the world. The next series is Valkyrie. So this one actually, it's based on Norse mythology, but it comes at it from a little bit of a different perspective. Most of these series that are similar are like human kids find out they have powers and like get pulled into the world of the gods. This series centers on a girl who's actually training to be a Valkyrie. So she's already in the world of the gods. She is training to be one of Odin's elite forces who shepherd the worthy dead to Valhalla after they die in battle. So she ends up having to go to the mortal realm and gets all entangled in stuff there. But the thing is, you can't do both. She has to pick one. So that's a really neat take on this whole genre that I like. Our next book is The Storm Runner. So this was actually one of the Texas Library's Lone Star picks last year. So this one is about this kid Zane. He spends most of his time avoiding bullies by exploring the dormant volcano in his backyard, which I wish I had. But then this girl, Brooke, shows up and shares the earth-shattering information that the volcano is actually imprisoning the Mayan god of death. So then Zane, turns out he is at the center of this like ancient prophecy, and so he gets pulled into the world of demons and gods and magic and ends up having to save the world, obviously. So the next series, Max Tilt, is a little bit different because it's not based on mythology. It's actually based on Jules Verne, who was one of the first popular sci-fi authors. So Max Hilt is the great, I think that's all the greats, grandson of Jules Verne. So he ends up finding an unpublished manuscript of Jules Verne's that is about like this hidden treasure and stuff. And then it turns out that all of Jules Verne's works were not fiction, they were real, and so he ends up having to fight the clock and race against the bad guys who also got their hands on the manuscript to find the treasure. My last pick for kids is The Cryptid Catcher. So after Clivo's father dies, he turns out that his dad was a cryptid catcher. So yeah, chupacabras, manticores, all those kinds of mythical beasts are real. Clivo has to finish his father's last mission, which was to discover the mythical beast that grants immortality before the bad guys find it. Okay, and before we go, I do have some recommendations for teens. If you liked Percy Jackson and you're transitioning into YA books, this is what I recommend you read. So the first is The Lunar Chronicles. The first book is Cinder, they're by Marissa Meyer. This series is amazing. I love it. I've never recommended these books to anyone who didn't like them. I'm sure there are people who don't like them, but I personally have never met one. So this is like a sci-fi story based on Cinderella, and it's got cyborgs and intrigue and a pandemic, classic, and magic moon people, basically anything you could want. Next is The Alchemist by Michael Scott. So this is the first book in a whole series. These two siblings are suddenly plunged into a world of magic and monsters when their boring summer job pulls them into this centuries-old battle between two immortals. My third is The Children of Blood and Bone. So this is a really cool series. I liked it a lot. I haven't finished the second one yet. But Zaylee is the main character, and she has lived her entire life without magic. When she was a kid, the evil king did like this raid and killed all of the magi, and on the same night, all of the magic disappeared from Orisha. So one of the magi that the king killed was her mom, so bitterness obviously. And in a weird, crazy turn of events, Zaylee runs into the evil king's runaway daughter, and they have to team up to go on this quest to bring magic back to Orisha for good. My last pick for teens is in a fantasy. It's Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. It's a contemporary fiction, but if you have anxiety and or you've been in a fandom, which is why I'm recommending it to my Percy Jackson fans out there, you really should read this book. So Kath is the main character. She's struggling with anxiety, a growing distance between herself and her twin sister, who have always been closer than glue, and also surviving her first year of college, plus finishing her incredibly popular Simon Snow fan fiction. So yeah, it's really cute, and I would recommend it if you've ever been in a fandom. Thanks for watching. I hope you have some new books to try. Make sure and check out our Facebook and YouTube for more book recommendations.